As an entrepreneur, when we first start out on that journey, after we've made the decision that we want to work for ourselves and do something to help the world to be a better place and to create what only we can, the initial starting point seems to be logical, in that what we need to do is set out a business framework, seek financing, and go into the logical steps of building and creating a business. But as time unfolds, as entrepreneurs, we realize that our mindset is actually the most important aspect of what we are doing. Now, I realize that mindset is spoken about so much today that it almost doesn't have any meaning, or the meaning it has is murky. But there is something specific that happens with entrepreneurs in the way that we think, and our thinking affects us more than people who hold down a 9-to-5 job and work a standard career and jobs. Because as entrepreneurs, we may not have a steady stream of income, at least initially. Our thinking is what shows up loud and clear every single day. And we discover as entrepreneurs that we really, truly must overcome our thinking and create a better way at looking at the projects that we're working on, because how we think will interrupt the outcome that we create. The mind is a very strange thing, at least the human mind is. It seems to think it can predict our future, tell us what outcomes are going to occur, and create scenarios of how life is going to be. But the majority of the time, for you and me, my sweet friend, as entrepreneurs, we realize that the mind has a great capacity to forecast everything we don't want to happen instead of everything we do want to happen. And that is why how we think matters so much more than when we were working in a career, when we were working at jobs. There is a sameness, whether it's a happy or unhappy experience, in working for others that quiets the mind to an extent. Although working for others can be unhappy in so many ways, and the entrepreneurial route is so fulfilling, the mind tends to be quieter when it knows what to expect day by day. But when you and I embark upon what we know is our true life's journey, turning this world around, creating a better place for all through the projects that we know we're on this earth to create, it is as if the mind itself does not appreciate having extra time to think and consider. And so when our schedule as an entrepreneur leaves us with more time to contemplate, to create, at the same time, the mind tries to fill that in with scenarios and situations of how it thinks life will turn out. And in that, we can end up embroiled in a battle with our own thinking. I think you would probably agree that the journey of an entrepreneur itself is fun and fascinating and interesting, but it is the way that we think that becomes our greatest challenge and is what makes us feel that we cannot move forward with what we're doing or that we won't ever succeed. But the truth is, my sweet friend, that the mind does not have the ability to predict the future, nor does it have any kind of secret information about how our entrepreneurial journey will turn out. The mind is doing what the mind always does. It is basing the future on its perception of the past. The mind doesn't even base the future on the actual past, just on its perception of the past. And as you and I already know, the mind is interested in making sure that we survive, not that we thrive. So where does that leave us on our journey and how can we handle all of this so that we can continue on with what we know we are meant to do. Over the past 10 years of this entrepreneurial journey, I have found, and so many others that I speak with have found the same. What helps us the most is to connect with others who are on this same journey. The first advantage is we realize that our thinking is not just our thinking. It is the thinking of someone who is self-employed and who doesn't know how to predict what's going to happen tomorrow, next week, or next year. The mind is kind of numbingly consistent in when it tries to predict the future. So you and I may feel that what our minds are telling us is truly unique, the way it scares us and tells us stories about what will or will not happen in the future. But the fact is, most of what our minds think is the same as what other entrepreneurs' minds think. I have joined all sorts of groups, and even though I tend to be an introvert for the most part, joining these groups, whether they are very high level, such as a mastermind, or groups that are just local, in speaking with other entrepreneurs, I can see that there's nothing unique about the fears and doubts that I have. And the beauty of that is, my sweet friend, we realize that our minds are not telling the truth. We've just been programmed for a very long time that there's a certain way to earn a living and a specific way to live, and that anything outside of that parameter is dangerous, even life-threatening. But when we gather with others and listen to them, we realize that there's no truth in that. And a calmness and peace comes when we realize our thoughts are not so extraordinary. It allows us the opportunity to not take our thinking so seriously, to just put it to the side and to continue on with what it is we've chosen to do with our lives. The beautiful aspect of all of this, my sweet friend, is that when we do face these parts of ourselves that are filled with fear, doubt, wondering about the future, when we actually face them and realize that everyone else who is on their true life journey is grappling with the same thoughts and feelings, we realize that once we overcome them, we have so much more power to fulfill our destiny. There is a backlog of energy that is released once we face our fears and doubts and continue to move forward. And by connecting with others who are on the same journey as we are, and realizing our thinking is not anything unusual for those that are on this same path, we are able to regain our independence, our autonomy, and our true free thinking, and be the world changers that we know we were sent here to be. You absolutely have the power within you to create the life that you know you are meant to have. And in that, my sweet friend, the influence and the impact that you will have on the world is one that no one else can create. You are here for a purpose. You know what that is. And I truly encourage you to follow your heart and reach out to others who are on the same journey, because all entrepreneurs are struggling with the same mind and the same thinking. And together we can create a force for the good that will overcome that limiting voice within. Together as entrepreneurs, we can create a world with a new way of thinking that uplifts others and helps them to use their gifts, talents, and abilities to create a world where all have what they truly deserve and need. If Swanky Genius encouragements helped your heart, we'd be ever so grateful if you liked, commented, subscribed, shared our podcasts, and check out our book, journal, and coloring book series featuring Lamp the cat and Swanky Genius the bird, who are whimsical best pals at swankygenius.com.